It had the name, the numbers, the looks, and the roar, but the AMC Rebel Machine never quite made it into the Muscle Car Hall of Fame. This was American Motors' loudest attempt to crash the party thrown by Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. With 340 horsepower, a red, white, and blue color scheme, and a design that screamed, "We can do muscle too!" It was built to stand out. But despite all the noise, the Rebel Machine didn't have the lasting impact of its competitors. It was like a courtroom drama where the defense gives an award-winning performance and still loses. The Rebel Machine wasn't lacking in effort, but it came to a battle armed with a wrench instead of a knife. Why didn't it live up to the hype? Let's dive in. Back in the late 1960s, American Motors Corporation, or AMC, wasn't in the same muscle car conversation as Ford, Chevy, or Dodge. People knew AMC for small, budget-friendly rides, but as American streets filled up with fast, loud machines, AMC knew they had to bring something bold to the game. So in 1970, they rolled out the AMC Rebel Machine, and it wasn't like anything else they'd built before. Right off the bat, this car made people stop and look. The body came in a clean white finish, with thick red and blue racing stripes, bold from every angle. It wasn't shy about being seen. This wasn't some soft cruiser. The way it sat low in the front and slightly raised in the back gave it a real drag-ready posture. From the side, it looked like it was built to launch. For fans of classic cars and vintage race cars, it checked all the boxes and then some. Under the hood was the good stuff. The 1970 AMC Rebel Machine came with a 390 cubic inch V8 engine that could put out 340 horsepower and 430 pounds per foot of torque. That's serious force. With the right driver behind the wheel, it could go from 0 to 60 in just 6.4 seconds. Back then, that was enough to keep up with just about anything on the road. For people who love to shift, there was a close ratio 4-speed manual transmission, paired with a Hurst shifter. Quick, tight gears made the ride more intense. AMC also offered a 3-speed automatic option, making it easy to enjoy the ride in a more laid-back way. But power wasn't the only thing AMC paid attention to. They gave the car a rear axle and gear ratios that made a real difference. The standard 3.54-to-1 ratio balanced speed and comfort for everyday driving. But if you were the kind to chase speed off the line, AMC offered 3.91-to-1 ratio or even 5.00-to-1 ratios. You could make this thing your own drag car or street machine, no problem. While the Rebel Machine never became as famous as the Hemi Dart or the Shelby Cobra, it definitely earned its spot in muscle car history. It's one of those unique cars that often flies under the radar, but talk to any real gearhead or classic car fan and they'll tell you this was no average build. It's now seen as one of the rarest cars of its kind, a real hidden gem among American muscle cars. The 1970 AMC Rebel Machine didn't try to copy the Dodge Dart or the Daytona Coupe or any of the factory super stock race cars of its time. It went its own way, bold, fast, and unforgettable. It was built to compete with the best muscle cars in the world, but it didn't get the same spotlight. That's part of what makes it one of the world's most unique cars. When people talk about vintage race cars, classic cars, or the fastest drag car builds of the 60s and 70s, they often skip this one, and that's a shame. Because the AMC Rebel, or the Machine as it was proudly known, brought something different to the scene. It was tough, stylish, and surprisingly quick. It might not have sold in huge numbers, but for those who know, it's in the same league as some of the best. Now, decades later, it sits among the world's rarest cars. A rare race car with a look that screams muscle and a heart built for speed. Now, if you're a fan of rare muscle cars and want to see more hidden gems like the AMC Rebel Machine, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of classic cars. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming up next. Okay, now back to the AMC Rebel Machine. Despite how rare it was, the car also had some serious racing potential. The car was built to perform, and perform it did, on the streets, in drag races, and at local tracks. Although it didn't dominate the racing world the way other muscle cars like the Chevy Camaro or the Ford Mustang did, the Rebel Machine still earned its stripes on the track. Some drivers even took the car to drag races, where it could hold its own against the best of them. Unfortunately, despite its solid performance, the Rebel Machine's racing legacy wasn't as loud as the more famous competitors, which contributed to its lower profile in the muscle car world. AMC, however, faced an uphill battle when it came to marketing the Rebel Machine. While the car was undeniably powerful, its reputation was always overshadowed by the bigger names in the muscle car scene. The bigger brands had huge marketing budgets and strong fan bases, meaning they could push their cars in ways AMC simply couldn't. Without big sponsorships, flashy commercials, or widespread media attention, it struggled to compete. Another challenge was AMC's limited dealer network. Unlike its rivals, AMC didn't have a widespread presence across the country, which made it harder for potential buyers to even find the Rebel Machine, let alone test drive or purchase one. Due to this, it was hard for the Rebel Machine to truly shine. Most people didn't know about it, and many who didn't take it as seriously as they did its competitors. Another important factor in the Rebel Machine's relative obscurity was its short production run. Only about 2,300 units were produced in 1970, making it an extremely rare car today. While rarity often drives up the value of a car over time, it also meant that fewer people had the chance to experience it. The Rebel Machine was something of an enigma. Few people even got the chance to own one. The low production numbers also meant that the car didn't have as much presence on the roads, making it harder for people to form lasting memories of it. This lack of visibility hurt the car's long-term reputation. However, as time passed, the Rebel Machine started to get a second life, but in a more niche way. In the 1980s and 90s, car enthusiasts began to notice this rare gem, and a few collectors started to hunt down the few remaining Rebel Machines. The car, once overlooked, began to gain attention as a collectible muscle car. With fewer of these cars left, those who managed to find one were able to restore them and give them the appreciation they deserved. Till today, a lot of car owners don't remember it, but it did find a dedicated group of fans who saw its value. Restoration and maintenance of the Rebel Machine have become significant parts of its appeal. The car, with its distinctive design and unique features, requires careful attention to bring it back to its original form. Finding original parts for the Rebel Machine can be a challenge, as many of the components are no longer in production. Owners who take on the task of restoring these cars often have to get creative, sometimes using custom-made or aftermarket parts to keep the car running smoothly. But for those who manage to restore one, there's a real sense of satisfaction in bringing back a piece of muscle car history. Maintaining a Rebel Machine today isn't an easy task either. Mechanics who know how to work on these classic cars are hard to come by, and owners often have to rely on specialists who know the ins and outs of muscle cars from the 1970s. Finding parts is tricky, and keeping the car in good running condition can require a lot of time and effort. Despite all of its unique qualities, the AMC Rebel Machine remains a somewhat forgotten part of muscle car history. It was a car that had all the right ingredients to be a major player in the muscle car scene. Yet, for various reasons, it never achieved the level of fame its performance deserved. Whether it was the lack of strong marketing, its short production run, or simply being overshadowed by more popular models, the Rebel Machine faded into obscurity. Still, the car has carved out a niche for itself as a rare and valuable collectible. It's the kind of car that gets talked about by those who appreciate its history, but outside of that group, it often gets overlooked. The AMC Rebel Machine might not have the fame of the Mustangs or Camaros, but it's got something special that sets it apart. With power, style, and a spirit that was all its own, this car deserves more love than it gets. Sure, it didn't make the headlines of some of its rivals, but for those who know about it, the Rebel Machine is a rare gem. It's got a legacy that's quietly held on through the years, thanks to the collectors and enthusiasts who appreciate what it brought to the table. So, next time someone brings up muscle cars, don't forget about the Rebel Machine. It's a car that didn't get enough flowers. If you enjoyed learning about the AMC Rebel Machine, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more awesome car content. Got any thoughts or questions? Drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.